like about 2 hours away from Cairns. And I was saying to Barb when in our session, I was saying we should have like a SHEROES. How cool would it be if we had a SHEROES
Retreat.
retreat one day? Yeah.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
That would be so great.
I
I
know.
love to do that. Would so love to do that. I mean, we could do something at Uluru because airfares into Uluru are really cheap from Cairns or from, there's direct
I would
flights.
love to go to Uluru again. I went when I was really young and
Mm.
I want to go back. Like my mum used to be a tour guide, so we were in one of the rivers licking rocks so that she could teach me about how the salt gets onto the rocks.
So, I mean,
Oh,
accommodation and food is really expensive, but it's a beautiful place to be able to do a retreat, and there's other, obviously things that you can do while you're there. Yeah.
yep.
Well, I've never been there, but since doing this program, all of a sudden there's something calling me there. Like I've got to go there. It's like I could just see myself there with my feet in the dirt. Like I just see myself there bare feet in the dirt. Like it's calling me there. So it's a great idea. All right. Well, maybe I'll put that on the board for
Yeah.
yeah, for maybe later in the year or next year, this time next year.
And
Um,
wow, can you imagine all of us, all of these beautiful women and the photo, and then Uluru in the background, and I could just see it like Sheroes.
yeah,
Love
love
it.
it. Love it. So what we're this is really timely, Maya, because with our session that we had, we'll talk revisiting some of the negotiation stuff and the things that support you in particularly negotiating. Maya looks like getting some work, some that she can
Oh,
do. So
great.
work from home so it doesn't impact or conflict with her workers' compensation claim. I hope you don't mind me sharing, Maya, your
No,
news
no, that's okay.
which is really exciting. And I want to say, I don't know if I said this to you, Sally, but I say to my in my coaching with people is there's a magic space in your house. There's this magical place that helps you stay focused on the things that you want to be focused on and bring into your life. And it's called the fridge.
I
Okay.
feel for that,
And
Sally.
so I would keep saying when Maya did her purpose, vision, and mission, or when different things, I'd say put it on your fridge so you are seeing it every day and it's embedding in your conscience. And
Yep.
so and I talk about it being this magical space. And Maya keeps telling me about these things that happen because she's on a fridge. Like the
Wow.
first one was a rental property that they really wanted, and weren't sure they were going to get. And the next one was a job where working from home, applying my knowledge, fits in with my lifestyle. And then someone went, "Yeah, we got a job for you."
Wow. I love that. Will actually make the position like it's a new
Yeah.
position and everything. And then the rental, it's like the best rental ever. Like even the fixtures are like nice and just like we've got a creek at the end of our street. And I'm like, the fridge space is amazing.
I love that.
But
That
it
is
is
so good.
magical. It's been magical for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess the thing to think about with this is when we're talking about the negotiation, Sally, I mean, we're just talking about what Maya has to negotiate. Are there any things that what are the sort of people that you have to influence? Are there any negotiations you're having to do at the moment?
Well, not really. I'm just trying to get clients. So I'm not actually getting clients. I don't know what I have to negotiate at the moment because
But getting clients and are you having conversations with clients yet or not?
no, because people are just not interested. So I'm not even having conversations. Oh, people say, "Oh, I love what you do," but I'm not even getting to the stage of people wanting to book with me. So
So, what
I'm
we
not even
need
yet.
Yet, that's right.
Yeah.
So, Sally, one of the things that I would suggest for you is, I think we've talked about this, is what's called a lead magnet. Have you heard of that term, a lead magnet?
Yeah. So I've got a lead magnet, but people are not taking that up either.
Then you've got to have another one. I've
Yeah.
got 12.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah. And so you just have to try lots of different things. And what I find is the most effective is diagnostics. So here's a quiz that you can do. And honestly, you could create something that's in Word and turn it into a PDF, which is, those, remember in the old magazines, Sally, where you had to go, there'd be a question. When you go into a restaurant, do you A, find the seat closest to the kitchen, B, I don't know, whatever, and then you would tally up your score at the end. And if you scored between 10 and 50, you were this. If you scored between 50
Yeah.
and 100, they're easy to create.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. That could
And
be
I
an
reckon
idea.
you could do one in Chat GPT, and people love those. I just find with my lead magnets, they're the most popular when there's things that tell people about themselves, especially if they're fun or silly. Like one of the ones
Yeah.
I've got is, have you got your shit together? Like a quiz that tells you, have you got your shit together?
Good
Um,
one. Yeah, that could be an
so
idea. Thank you.
And if then Sally, or once you get those leads, you want to make sure you get their email address, name, and phone number. And a lot of people say, oh, but if I put phone number there, then people won't want to download it. But if they're warm candidates, then they'll be prepared to give you their phone number. If they're
Yeah.
not interested, it's like I say in a dating situation, if a guy asks you for your phone number, and you give it to him, he's going to call. It doesn't mean you're going to marry him, but you're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm open to it. I'm open to a
Yeah.
phone call. So you
Yep.
then are on the phone, and that's where my point to this whole thing is that's where you then get into negotiation because you've got them on the
Yeah.
phone, right?
Yep.
You're
Yep.
ringing them going, oh, I see you did the have you got your shit together quiz. How did you go? Is there anything I can do to support you to get your shit
Yeah.
together?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
It
Maybe.
worked on me, Sally,
Okay.
really well, and I'm very happy about it.
That's so good.
All right. So, are there any other areas that you find yourselves having to negotiate with people?
Look, I
You-
would say my family. Can I
Yeah.
can I bring that in
Yeah, definitely.
because I have my husband and my son that work together,
Yeah.
and I always get stuck in the middle
Mm.
of Dad
Yes.
said this.
So you're
Or
mediating almost
yeah, I'm really
rather.
mediating, it's probably more mediating than negotiating, actually. Yeah, that's probably more it, actually.
But the interesting thing is, I often talk to people when I'm doing training, asking people about their situations in their personal life, whether they got kids or whatever. I have to negotiate with my kids all the time. My husband does that. If I do this, you have to do this. If I clean the dishwasher, you have to give me a massage. We negotiate all the time.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other scenarios? Maya, you're going through negotiations in terms of the stuff having to navigate going through this action with your car accident and stuff. There's a lot of negotiation going on there.
Yeah, yeah, there is. And I kind of feel like there would be, well, there's still negotiations for me, things I can learn, but I feel like a lot I've passed on to my lawyer.
Yeah,
Um,
to negotiate for you.
to negotiate for me. Um, but yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
sorry.
Yeah, and you don't have to share anything. Um, So I guess what I want you to start to be aware of, in the next couple of weeks is all of those times that you're having to practice those negotiation skills. Where are you having to negotiate or navigate? And what makes it challenging for you? And what can you learn from some of those experiences? Um, so, do you remember? This will be a refresher for you both because you've done this before, but this will be new for Karina who's watching it. My slides are also doing something funny, so I can't always see my notes. So the most obvious when we talk about negotiation, People always, the win-win sounds lovely, doesn't it? Win-win, it's a win-win situation. Yay! Everyone's happy. It's a Cinderella kind of a happy ending story. And yes, that's what we want to aim for, where it's mutually beneficial, it's mutually satisfying, there's cooperation, there's no competition, it's no competitiveness. I'm happy, you're happy, everyone feels good. But that's not the reality of some of the complex conversations we have. It's pretty rare. So these are the different dynamics. And I want you to think about where to raise your awareness a bit more about these environments. When do you see yourself experiencing these? When do you need to adapt or consider what style or approach is needed? So I win, you lose. One person is aggressive in their negotiation. They're using their power and their position to get what they want. I get what I want, and I'm going to make sure you get what you get. And there's no cooperation there. There's no wiggle room. So the kind of situations that demand this is police officers, parents with naughty toddlers maybe. Sit down. Stop throwing food in the restaurant, whatever it is. There's no negotiation there. Can I just throw one more sausage into the corridor? No, you can't. Sit down. So you can see that there are some situations in life and in work where it is, sorry, you have to follow the commands here. There's very little negotiation. So a police officer pulling you over for speeding might let you off. A parking inspector, I don't know. But you're in the compromising position. So this is where you would say, is it worth the fight? Is it worth the battle? Then there's I lose, you win. So one person is programmed to miss out. So this one, you're a police officer where you hold the control or the parent, but in this one, you're the other person. I don't want to say you're the loser, but you're the person that is in the passive situation. So, and typically what happens is what I see with a lot of the women I'm coaching is they're very comfortable being here. They'll say, oh, you win. You get what you want. We'll do it your way. But that just, when you allow that to happen too often, it eats away at you and it's soul destroying, right? And I know you've both done that too, haven't you? Where you constantly compromise yourself for somebody else. Okay, do what you want. All right, I'll fit in with you. And it just becomes exhausting. So people that are used to being in that situation bury their feelings, bury their opinions, but it does fester, right? It does fester. There are situations where you might do that, where the battle's not worth fighting. If somebody's really heightened, you might say, look, fine, we'll just do what you want. We'll do it your way. I'll let you have that thing, whatever it is. I lose, you lose. This is two stubborn bulls. If I don't win, then you don't win. If I don't get what I want, you don't get what you want. So that's often where there's two egos. And so that can you can see that gets really nasty, doesn't it? Really vindictive. If I can't win, then I'm not going to let you get anything either. I can't see any scenario where you'd want that to play out, but we know that things like that do happen. You see that in like divorce courts or different situations where people do not want to allow the other person to have any advantage. And then there's I win, the end. Someone has to win in this situation. Can you remember from when you've done this work with me before, can either of you remember a bit of a test? What kind of environment does this typically have this situation? Win whatever it takes. Can you remember? You got to fight for the win.
Sport?
What were you going to say, Sally?
Well, it's nearly like you're fighting to the death.
Yeah. Yeah. And what environments can you think of that are like that? Can you think if there's one in particular?
Boxing?
Oh,
No?
oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess in sport, typically. Yeah,
Yeah.
You had me
boxing,
going down that
boxing.
path. I can't remember, but I'm
It's
interested.
court, in
Yeah,
court,
okay.
right? If you think about it, if you're about to be in prison for murder, you're not gonna, well,
Yeah.
I guess you can. I love watching SVU and they do kind of do deals.
I
But
win
you,
the end, then we make a deal.
but you're not going to compromise on that, really. You don't want to go to jail, so you've got to win, but you're fighting somebody else who also wants to win. And it could be to keep someone safe. So this can be really common in negotiations, particularly when egos come into play, but it's not, we know it's not effective, is it? Someone's really gonna suffer. And then we've got, what were you gonna say, Sally? You're gonna say something?
Oh no. The thing that came to my mind was, the cowboys, you've got the guns, you're opposite, and then it's like one piece, you turn around, it's like a shootout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not probably a good example, but that's what came to my head.
yeah, yeah. What it is that what is it? What's that called? The showdown, yeah.
Yeah. A showdown? Yeah.
Probably
What's it
showdown.
called? No, there's another name for it.
It's not a shootout, is it?
Is it like a duel? No, not a duel.
What's it
No.
called? What's the proper word for that? I can't think.
I
I'm just
can't.
imagining the
The
tumbleweeds.
tumbleweed, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, that's gonna bug me. You're both gonna remember later and then pop it in the
We'll message
portal.
you.
And Maya, while I remember, sorry, you're
Yeah.
talking about your book that if you're still reading it, I want you to share in the portal what your takeaways are from the book.
Okay.
Yeah. The power to be disliked. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good alignment for this training as well. I think,
Yeah.
the negotiation is the power to put, like we were talking, is when you're going to put something on the table and somebody goes, oh, that's a bit expensive. I'm not paying that, or I'm not doing that. And you go, oh, I'm disliked. They don't like me. So yeah, it's a good alignment. So this last one is both win or no deal. This is where it's kind of it's almost like the win-win, but it's more realistic. And this one is common in negotiations. And there's a lot more emotional intelligence and emotional freedom that comes with that. So you can agree to disagree. You can have safe conflict. You can have difference of opinion. And if the solution doesn't benefit people both in some way or support them in both ways, then it doesn't happen. So I actually think this is better than the win-win. The win-win is sometimes too Pollyanna. It's too you're not considering all the risks, whereas this one's going, does that work for you? Is there any way that it wouldn't work for you? I think this one's more emotionally intelligent. So I think in the workbook, if I go back to that, I reckon, is there no, I thought there might be some activities, but there's not. All right, so we're going to move on and looking at how you negotiate with different people in your work environment. And so when we're talking about leadership, it's how do you negotiate with those people that look to you for advice and direction. And see if you can remember this one as well. I love this one in terms of looking at where people are sitting in terms of their capability, their capacity. And Sally, I reckon in your work that you're doing, and even in that sales process, this could be really powerful if you think about what are the obstacles that people have in working with you or in applying the knowledge that you're going to share with them. this thinking about where people's sitting is really helpful. So, and this is going to come up for you too in the operations work as well. And Karina, if you're watching this is really, really important in the people that you lead and that you're working with. It can be applied for everybody anywhere. So the thing is to think about if we don't stop and think about what's going on for people in their world, we can get really irritated, frustrated, annoyed, agitated. But that emotional intelligence is understanding that they don't have the same skill we do. If you've taught somebody to drive a car, your grandma to use the computer, they're the ones I always like I think teaching someone to drive is the really obvious one. It's so frustrating, isn't it? Have either of you had to do that?
Yeah, I
No,
have.
but
Yeah.
sorry, you go, Sally.
Oh no, I've had to teach. I actually haven't had to teach my boys to drive because being on a farm, my husband did that. So
Oh, the farm's the best, Sally. Like on the farm, like I can remember my dad said, you go first and second gear in the ute, that's it. Drive around the paddock, off you go.
yeah, that's pretty much it. It's probably teaching him to slow down and know the road rules. That's
Yeah.
probably it. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Maya?
I was just going to say I was the person that someone was probably shitting
Yeah.
themselves over teaching.
Yeah. But we've all had those experiences where you forget how much you know. So has the person got a high level of skill or a low level of skill? Then the next part to that is their mojo. How invested in or interested are they in learning what it is that they need to learn? So if we look at this all together, this is where it's a bit of a test. There's an E word for this. There's an E word up here. I think that's the next one that comes up. Let me just see. If you've got somebody that is, because my slides, can I just stop this for a minute and fix my slides up because I can't see my notes.
Yeah.
Show from the current slide. That's better. So the reason I had to change it is because I couldn't see which one was going to reveal itself first, and I didn't want to. And it's a bit of a game. It's a bit of a quiz game. So here we go. Here we go again. Okay, so you've got to guess the word. What is it for somebody who's got a high level of skill, but their willingness is low? What's an E word? There's an E word of something you need to do. So they've got lots of skill, but they're really not motivated. Sally.
No, I didn't know. I was just taking it off for when I was ready. For when it's
Oh,
something in my.
I need buzzers. Maya, do you know what it is?
No.
Okay.
E word.
And the reveal says excite. So if you think about it, if they've really got the skills, but they've got no mojo, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? You've got to excite them.
Oh, yep.
You've got to get them their motivation, lift their motivation up. You've got to, in order for them to want to do the thing, they've got to see what's in it for me. They've got to be inspired to take action. And it
Yep.
might be about confidence. So going, this is the big picture. And I'm just thinking, the reason I falter then, Sally, is I think about you with your business. People need what you've got, but they don't have the motivation. So the thing is, you've got to excite them. They've got to take action and act on those skills and those opportunities. They've got to see the vision. They've got to see what's in it for them, tying in the benefits of the pain, of the work, of the cost for the big picture. And then obviously the monitoring. Okay, the next one is, what do you do with somebody? It's a D word. Somebody who's got lots of skill and they're very motivated. A D word. It's like doing a crossword, isn't it? Starts with D.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's almost like you need to delegate or something.
Well,
Woo!
you got it.
I
Yeah.
had it there at the tip of my tongue. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you think about it, if somebody's really skilled and they're really motivated, then you want to hand over work to them. The last thing you want to do is overmanage them. If you micromanage them, they're just going to lose their mojo. So it's really important that you provide that positive feedback, stretch them, get them to stretch themselves even more, and get them to gear up in what they're doing. And the goal is to say the most important one thing with this, the delegation, and this is at the ethos of delegation, is objectives, not methods. End game, not how you get there. You let them do that. And you want to also involve them in the decision making, getting their input and their feedback. So that I know for myself with my team, the more I do this, the more independent and proactive and involved and innovative they become. All right. What are we going to do with these ones? Poor things down here. They've got no mojo and no skills. What would you do with someone like that in your world? What do they need? It's a D word. A D word. They're lacking.
Develop?
Oh, you said develop? That's pretty close. What do they need? I don't know where to go, what to do.
Direction.
Yay! Yeah.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is no point just sending somebody on training or pushing them to learn something if they're not inspired to do so. They're just not going to do it. So the most important thing here is motivation, and could be confidence. It could be inspiring them to do something, learn something, grow. And I want you to think about this in the context not just of work, but the people around you, where you need them to. It could be your partner who's not feeling they need confident to go and learn something new in their work. You've got to motivate them and inspire them to go and do that. And what is it that motivates them? That's where the real leadership capacity comes in. How can you identify what it is that inspires and motivates them? Now, both of you have done my value solicitation stuff. Those questions in there are great things for you to be able to observe in others. You could almost answer those questions for the people in your world. What's really important is small wins, little celebrations, little encouragements, some milestones and deadlines, things that are really clear, and lots of feedback and praise. Keep going, hubby. You're doing amazing. Look how far you've come. You're doing so well. You couldn't do that a week ago. Now look at you. Don't stop. See, so it's not just in the work environment, it's for people around you as well. All right, last one. Someone who is, I think of this one as a bull in a china shop. They've got lots of energy, lots of motivation, but they just don't know how to drive the thing yet. It is a G word. What do we need to do? They need some
Guidance.
Yes. Maya, you're killing this. I'm glad it's like charades. So with this one, I want you to think about, like I said, think about when you take kids to the bowling alley, the ball goes any which way. So you put up the guides so that it goes for the paddles. That's how they learn. So training wheels on a bike, same things. You have the guides there until they've refined the skill, and then you can drop the guides down. So it's safe mistakes. They can make mistakes safely without massive consequence. a risk-free environment. And it might be a little bit of more explanation about refining technical skill. And doing that, they'll eventually move up there. So I want you to think about that. If you have to train anybody to do something, or it's great with kids applying this one, but it can apply in the work environment as well. Makes sense, right? I love that tool. I think it's so useful just to be able to consider where people are at, and then about what approach you might take. Yeah. So that will be your homework, I guess, is to be more aware of that. So this comes from some more theory around negotiation. I won't spend too much time on this, but there's a winning formula. They say that there's a winning formula to negotiation. And if you get these three things working continuously in your combination, you'll have a winning situation. So emotions is obviously a big one, because that's tapping into people's drivers and passions, using those emotive words. And you see that with people selling things, getting overly excited. Oh my God, this is amazing. Molly Meldrum used to, on Countdown, Sally, remember? Do yourself a favor. Go and get this album. That was his famous saying. Do yourself a favor. Yeah. So there's a great book, if you're interested, by a man called Chris Voss, and he's a former negotiator for the FBI. And he wrote a book called Never Split the Difference.
Was it Chris Fox or Chris
Voss? Voss, Voss.
Oh, Boss. Nice. Never split.
So, yeah, so he would really play on people's emotions in difficult negotiations. And so the things that he would do, which you are all familiar with now, is mirroring people's words selectively. So using the same words as them so they're feeling aligned. He said, list the worst things that the other person could say about you, and say them before they can. Now, that's really interesting, isn't it? Amara, I'm just thinking about you and the sort of things that you might say going into a job interview.
Yeah.
Like you would say to me, oh, I'm too young.
Yeah.
Or
right now I'm unemployed. What am I going to say at the public speaking event? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of the elephant in the room. So you could actually speak to those, but address them in a positive way.
Yeah. Like we did yesterday, that strength-based kind of reframing.
Yes. Yeah. And then there's the logic. So it says logic alone will not work. It's not just facts. It is the way that people see things and digest the information. Albert Einstein said, not everything that can be counted counts. Not everything that counts can be counted. Not everything that can be counted counts. Not everything that counts can be counted. Oh my God, that's so deep, isn't it?
Like that. It's true.
But this is also in negotiation, is preparing. So assess what you want, prepare, engage, and package it up. So Sally, in a sales context, what did Cecile? An irresistible offer. You get this, and this, and if you buy now, this is thrown in. And then repetition. I do that a lot when I do strategy sessions. I will keep saying, when I'm working with clients, this is what I do. When I'm working with a client, this is how it works. So, yeah, that's an interesting formula, isn't it? And even in movies, there's actually a science in terms of stories and scripts, that it's a sequence of threes and repetition of that. Like our subconscious mind looks for those So it's an interesting formula. So if you're going into a negotiation, Maya, we talked about this in terms of salary. What's the alternative? You know, what's the big ask? What's the reservation price? What's the lowest you will go?
Yeah.
And what do you actually hope for? What's the best possible option? But most importantly, I think it's how you being true in that situation and not greedy. Maya Angelou says. You know this quote? Has anyone heard this quote? I've learned that people will forget what
Yes.
you said, people forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
So when we look at the fundamental things in negotiation, and you remember, Mark, sorry, I keep referring back to this, so relevant to what we're
It's
talking
so relevant.
about,
Yeah. Yeah.
is assertiveness. So remember, and I gave some examples yesterday in terms of being able to make a request. I was just thinking about Amber. Here she comes. Being able to make a request in a way that is professional and emotionally intelligent and not aggressive. Hello, Amber. How you going? Lovely to see you.
Thanks. Sorry I'm late. I just finished work.
You are totally okay and totally welcome. We
Thank you.
can pick up on where we're at with stuff. So in just talking about, obviously we're talking about negotiation, Amber, and where that applies in personal life, in business, in managing your team, in negotiating with family, all the different environments that we have to apply those skills. Maya's going through a situation at the moment in terms of a new work opportunity. So I keep referring back to her situation. Sally's got her business emerging, building her business. And so the negotiations are with potential
Great.
customers and clients. Amber, you would be
Well done, you two.
Yes, it is,
Thanks,
yes.
Amber.
And Amber, no doubt you are negotiating all the time with your staff, with
Yeah.
the students, with
Yeah.
family members who are the customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are practicing these skills all the time. And so the assertiveness is a fundamental in core ingredient. And I always say to people, there's so much to assertiveness, but the things that help is being able to ask for what you want and what you need in order to do your work, in order for you to fulfill on your goals, whatever it is to be able to ask that without over emoting, without it being too personal, being very clear, being very direct. And it comes down to your wants and your needs, whether that's in the professional environment or the personal environment. Now, when we're trying to negotiate with someone, so that's the ask part, but the other part is the active listening. So the other part is, what do they want? What do they need? And where can I meet them halfway? Where can I meet on the bridge with that? So it's mutually beneficial. What are their concerns, their risks in relation to that situation? So those two things combined together, I think, are the fundamental, powerful ingredients for sales and negotiation and mediation. Those two things together. Do any of you have any thoughts around that? Amber, what are your thoughts? I know I'm just picking on you and you've just come in. In the reflection of your work and what you do, you have so many different situations.
Yeah. And I have had to be quite assertive with a couple of parents who have it's not assertive as in I wasn't rude. I simply spoke matter of factly. And
Yes.
they weren't happy with the progress that their child was making, but they didn't turn up to half the sessions. And I just turned around and I said to her, I'm really sorry to hear that. I hear what you're saying. I'm sorry to hear that. You're welcome to go somewhere else. And
Yeah.
as I said it, I was packing up her stuff, and then I presented her with and she was quite shocked. It's like, I don't need customers like that
Yeah.
telling me that, they could go somewhere else where it's cheaper, or, that their kids aren't doing well when you actually got to attend.
And this comes down to the boundaries, Amber, is what you're talking about, is what are you willing to compromise on and what are you not willing to compromise on? And I think that that's really important when we're talking about negotiation. It's those benchmarks. What Maya going for her job? What's the lowest rate she would go for? Where would she stop? And what's the most that you can ask for? So I think what you've communicated, Amber, is very clear about what you will tolerate and you won't tolerate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a couple of my staff, they were just, because this woman was yelling at me, and I was just very matter of fact, just, speaking quite calmly, in a gentle voice, and I just said, this is what's going to happen.
Mm.
And that was back when I actually had the business in my house. So I didn't want people in my house that didn't have the right attitude.
I'm bringing the wrong energy into your house too. You need to go and smudge it after that.
Ah,
Yeah, not a healthy kind of situation. Yeah,
no, but my staff were all quite impressed. They said, oh, would have been better if you just hit her. And I went, no, not
yeah,
quite.
yeah, probably not.
Um,
Yeah.
Now, may
What?
I ask,
Yeah,
this what you've got here did you send out a book?
I have, but it's not essential. It's attached to the calendar appointment, Amber.
Oh,
Can you?
yeah, I couldn't download and print because I'm not at work. I'm at home.
It's not essential. It's just a support for you to be able to take some notes and for you to have stuff to take away after the training. So it's not
So a lot
essential.
of this sort of stuff here is in the booklet, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, a
you.
lot of it is. You're welcome to the slides too, Amber. I'm more than happy to give you slides as well.
All right. Sounds like a goal. Plan.
A
A plan.
plan.
So I'm looking at
When you're negotiating, particularly if you want to be in the again, for lack of a better word, that power position, you want to be the person in control. Alan Peace is amazing. He's written so many amazing books about influencing people. And he's based in Queensland. He's still very active, Australian guy. And he says, questions are the answers. If you're the person asking the questions, then you're the person that's in control. And in the workbook, Amber, there's actually a formula that he has, which I used to see him speak at Amway conferences when I used to do Amway. And it's a really powerful formula. And this is the questions. There's 5 questions. What's your number one priority? And Amber, think about this when you're trying to persuade a parent, for example, to take on board your tutoring or to take on board your tutoring for the child. What's
Yep.
the number one priority? And then they'd say whatever that is. The next one is, oh, that's interesting. Why did you pick that one? And so that really unpacks the motivators and the drivers for that particular pain point. And then why is that important to you? Or Amber, you might say to the parents, why is that important for your child? That would be a really, really powerful question. And then this is the big one, Sally, for you, this would be great in your sessions if you do get people on the phone to ask this. This is the pain one. This is what we call in sales the takeaway. Like I'm gonna paint this beautiful picture of a cake, and now I'm gonna take that away from you. What are the consequences of not having that opportunity? What are the consequences of not having this tutoring and achieving this number one important thing for your child? And why would that worry you? Why would that be a worry? Why would that be a concern? So Maya, with again, I hope you don't mind me mentioning you, Maya. So with Maya's goal of improving her communication, we talked about the strategy and to give her motivation to develop that skill, like the slides we were talking about before. It is, what are the consequences? So what are the benefits of improving the communication through the different strategies? Maya's going to go through a bit of pain probably in terms of going to Toastmasters and putting herself out there in these environments and going into a bit of discomfort. And so we none of us like to be pained. So we're going to go, what are the benefits of doing that? What are you going to gain? But also, if you don't do it, what are the consequences? What happens if you don't have develop this skill? And that's a big one, Amber, I think, for your parents. Is like, here's what they'll gain, but what are they going to lose if they don't come and have tutoring? So all of these questions are really powerful questions. They're in the workbook that you'll get. And if you can't find it, Amber, or it's not there, let me know. But that's a classic formula that Alan Peace used to teach us to sell people Amway. It worked. Well, sometimes it worked. Maya, you were asking me yesterday, what questions can you ask? What are some of those statements to trigger a conversation? What are your thoughts on? So what you're saying is, remember I said that one? So what I'm hearing you say, would I be right in saying this? How does that work for you? Does that work for you? This is my favorite one, when someone's really angry and they want blood. What do you want to see happen in this situation? Amber, in that situation with that difficult client, you were saying maybe it's better for you to go somewhere else. Is that
Yeah.
what you need to do? Yeah.
I think that way of thinking, and similar to these questions as well, I learned when I did a cognitive coaching course. And they went in as to how you could be an active listener and the using of paraphrasing, summarizing, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
To ask a question when they've given you an example.
Yes, because it shows that
Yeah.
you're listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's why the questions are really, really powerful, because people feel they have a connection to you. I love this one when people are really, really angry about a situation, particularly in business, but it can also be in your personal relationships. If you've got your husband or your kids or whatever really angry, really, really angry with you, what's going to make it right? What can I do to make it right for you? How can I make it up to you? That kind of question. In business, we don't quite want to be that emotive, but we might be saying, what would you like to see happen in this situation? And it's really telling, it's really informative. Sometimes it's just, I want to speak to the boss. That would be an interesting one for you, Amber. For you and the
Yeah,
boss.
that's right.
Yeah.
Mentioning that as well, is does bring people down a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
This
the
is my
questions. There's the ones that Alan Peace that I just went through with you. They're in my notes before. All righty. How are we going? Do you guys need a break, or you happy to keep going? I know Amber's just jumped on. How, Maya and Sally, we've been going for a bit. Do you need a little break? Are you okay?
I think I need to fill up my water bottle. Is that all right?
Do you
Believe it or
want
not, it might be cold in Cairns, but it's actually really hot in Horsham today.
Is
Fill up
it?
your water bottle. I'll duck to the loo at the same time.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I'll just pause the recording and then catch up with Amber while you guys go and do your watering or recording. Alrighty, so let's have a look now at some tricks, some negotiation tricks. Um, okay, the boiling frog is my favorite one. One of my favorite ones. Do you know, can anyone remember the story, what the story is of the boiling frog and what the principle is of the boiling frog?
No.
Sally, you go.
Well, the frog, if the frog's in the water and it starts cold, and you gradually turn the heat up, it won't actually notice it. So it's like it's the gradual build up on time. But then if the frog just jumps in the hot water, it's like it's gonna die. Is it something like that?
Yeah, that's totally it. So I want you to think about this in the context of sales, or if you want to motivate somebody to do something now and not put it off till later. You've got to demonstrate to people that if you don't act now, if you don't jump out of the water now, you're going to slowly boil to death. So you have to paint the picture of the boiling frog. You have to, whatever it is that you're negotiating with someone, you want to explain to them, like I was saying before, with emotion and logic, that if you don't do this thing now, you're gonna boil. So if we use this little diagram, you go, this little frog, you've got to say, this is the future, but you need to do something now. So Amber, I'm sure you could use this a lot in selling tuition to students where parents will go, oh, I don't know if I really want to spend the money. We'll just see how we're going. And you could say, yeah, well, you could do that. But if you leave it too late, they're going to fall behind, and then trying to pick up on their work is going to make it really difficult. They're going to lose their confidence, and trying to regain their confidence after they've lost it is going to be harder. You're better to do something now so you don't have to deal with all of the trauma later on.
I actually mentioned to one parent who, and we don't have it. Let me put it this way. We don't have a lot of disgruntled parents, but there was one who something happened, an interaction between her and one of my staff, and they didn't get along. So they just started not turning up. So I spoke with her and basically said that I would refund her the sessions that she was not happy with and reschedule them. And she was saying, oh, we might just leave it till next term. And I said, but I feel that the only person who's going to miss out is your daughter, because we were doing such a great job of raising her confidence, and then to just stop, she'll take a setback.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're talking about here, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Amber, one of the recommendations I would make to you, which will make your persuasion even more powerful, is when you need a rebuttal to what somebody is saying, they give you I think we'll just wait until later, like you said. And what you said, and you may not have said this, but what you just said to me was, but if you do, your daughter is going to lose her confidence. I want your homework, Amber, and I've said this to Maya and to everybody else, is to listen to how often you say but and change the word to and. So with that situation, to show that you are not giving a defense to the parent, but aligning with them, you change the but to an and. So you would say, yes, that's an option. And if we did do that, your child's going to lose their confidence. So as opposed to going, yeah, that's an option, but if you do, your child's going to lose their confidence. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
That just putting the and in there is like, yeah, and if you do, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It
Because
shows.
I mentioned also that, she was coming for homework help, and she still had homework that needed to be completed, and she would have to spend that time by herself trying to work it out.
So Amber, and that's exactly in that situation, rather than going, but she's still got homework, and if she doesn't come along, she's still going to have a difficult time. So you can hear the but.
Yeah.
So instead you go, and she's still got homework. So if she doesn't come along, she's not going to be able to get it done. And she's still got homework to do. So it's walking with them rather than putting up a defense, and it's more persuasive. And it's just a subtle little shift that you can do in your language. So all you have to do, I still do it too, Amber. I still put buts in my language. Listen, just become more conscious of it. Go, oh, I just said but. Like even when I'm doing these presentations, I find myself doing it. And
Yeah.
just start listening to it. Yeah. I love this one. I love this one. It's so simple. Basically, it's a formula of picking out the things that in whatever anyone said, when you're wanting to put forward a different point of view or a different argument or a different way of doing something. So this is useful when somebody's really stubborn and fixed in their mindset. Amber, again, this could be parents going, I think we need to do this, and I think we need to do this, and I want you to do this with my child, and I want to do this. You could say, yeah, I like this as an option for your child. I think that would work, and I like this. I think that could be a good option. I wonder what would happen if we did this. And
It does actually bring to mind a parent 2 weeks ago. We've got two of their children in tutoring with us, and the parent, like, they're doing okay. They're getting C's and a couple of D's. Anyway, they've told me that in an email that they've told the kids that unless they get B's in the middle of the year, they're not going to come back to tutoring.
Aww.
So these two kids are absolutely beside themselves. And part of the conversation that I need to have with the dad, because I missed out on speaking to him because I was in the middle of a trial session when he came and picked up his kids last week. I'm going to have to try and mention that in order to get those Bs, you can't come to tutoring just one session a week for English and maths and achieve a B. You'd need to do 2 sessions a week, one English and one maths.
So how would you
how to say that without making them think that I'm just trying to get more clients sessions.
Could you use the I wonder formula? How would you use that in that situation, Amber?
I like that you have set good a goal for your kids to achieve.
Yeah.
I like that his boys are excited and love coming. I wonder, okay, so I like that they're enjoying coming, and they're coming once a week. I wonder if attending.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if them attending 2 sessions a week would help achieve that goal. No, I'm still telling them, yeah.
I think you're on the right track. Amber, I would actually say, I wonder if cutting back their sessions is going to undo the good work that they've done. I feel like that still fits the formula.
I'm just writing it down.
I wonder if creating consistency with their tutoring will keep them motivated to get that B. I like the word I wonder. Sally, you had a good one too. I can't remember what yours was, but it's about just being, you say I wonder, don't you, Sally?
Yeah, I say I wonder quite a lot. So it's just putting it back to them. And I was just thinking there with the I wonder, like I know my son did tutoring and he was motivated. And it actually meant once he started going to tutoring, all his other marks went up as well. And it wasn't just about English. It actually was, I
Yeah,
wonder if that will mean that, they'll do better in the other subjects as well. So it won't just be those two subjects. I don't know whether that makes sense or not, but that's just something that came to me there.
it does from me because basically we're a very holistic approach. So even though they come for English, they get given, or they manage to increase their confidence, which does in fact reach over into other subjects. If they say, for example, they're doing English and they needed something in history or geography, I mean, I will assist them with the English side of things, but the facts they'll need to find out themselves.
Yeah. So if they
But
don't go to tutoring, I wonder if their other subjects are going to start slipping as well. I don't know.
And I think, Sally, what the powerful thing about
I
I
like what you
wonder,
said.
yeah, I love it. The whole purpose of this formula is for somebody who's got a fixed mindset, like they're being really stubborn. So the I wonder is challenging their thinking without being overly opinionated. So you're not going, I think you should do this, and I think this is the right thing. You're just being explorative by just putting I wonder. It's like I'm not demanding, or I'm not telling you what you should do, and I'm not being really forceful with my opinion. I'm just being explorative here. I think that's what's really powerful about that word, I wonder. Maya, you were saying, what are some quick cheats in a conversation? So if you could remember like wonder, but even if you just remember like Sally, I wonder, such a
Yeah,
powerful
it is, and it's
kind way.
yeah, and I feel like it does. It leaves it open, um, and like in Amber's example, I was hearing Amber talking, and I'm thinking all the transferable skills, and that could be something as well
Mm.
to say like, I know, or I like that you have this. I'm just thinking of like, how would I go about that situation? Um, would it be like, I like I like the progress that we're making with your Barb. Um, Barb's doing really well. I like um, sorry, this sounded way better in my head. All I had planned was the I wonder part, which was going to be I wonder, I wonder. I'm trying not to do the negative thing, like
Just
not
say it
focus.
anyway. What is it?
Okay. I was gonna say I wonder, I wonder how this would impact, or I wonder how this would impact the transferable skills that your child will gain through our tutoring, that doesn't just focus, as you know, doesn't just focus on the two subjects that they're here for.
Mm.
And I was hearing in how you were talking, Amber, like it sounds like you do a lot of that, like confidence building as well, and being,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, she does. She does with the students.
Yeah, the confidence building is one of the things that we're renowned for.
yeah,
And that's what's given us word of mouth for so long.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So much so that we got 163 client sessions a week.
A week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow,
Wow.
I'm up to
that's
12 staff
incredible.
now.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
Yeah, and I've just branched out into sciences because I've discovered that up here there's a shortage of science teachers. So physics, biology, chemistry, all
Wow.
those. So we're now delving into that as well.
That's
Fantastic.
amazing. That's amazing.
I saw a hole and I thought, why can't we do that?
So
That's
good.
good. That's business, right? See a
Yeah.
need, fill a need. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
I was going to say there, which is on it as well. When I was doing like my women's group involved asking a question a day, but I would always follow up their answer with "I wonder," and the feedback I got from that was people loved the fact that I just said "I wonder," and it just allowed them to see a different perspective. So I wasn't saying, I was like, I'm just curious, could this mean this or whatever? And they said that they actually love that, I wonder. So sounds quite
That's your
powerful.
gift, Sally. That's your gift, that your I wonder. That's your powerful gift.
Well, it is. I have to sell. I wonder. Yeah. Thank you.
There's something in that. There's something in that, I reckon, Sally. Like the power to wonder and to explore, and that's so much of what you do, the gift that you bring to the work that you do.
Yeah, well, it was actually interesting, which has gone off
Wonderful.
track a little bit, but I met up with a couple of people who did my 7-day challenge, 7 days of asking questions, and that was in January. And I asked them on Tuesday, I said, anything you got out of it? And they said, our communication skills are so much better now because we ask follow-up questions. We've got greater connection because we actually just don't stop at the one question, and they're actually more curious as well. So I wonder can actually open up so many lines of communication with that, make connections so powerful and good. Yeah.
Oh,
That's awesome, Sally.
that's amazing. You need to get those testimonials from them.
I do. And I have got some. Yeah. So maybe I actually have some, but we'll keep working on it.
Do you
Thank
know,
you.
and I don't think it's off topic, Sally, because this is about negotiation for people. And so I've talked about this a lot in the last week, and I've been talking to Maya about this, is about having safe conflict. How can you challenge ideas, raise concerns, all of those things? And I think the I wonder is incredibly powerful for safe conflict. It's a way to safely challenge something without being aggressive.
Yeah, it is quite safe. And you can say, I wonder this, and they could go, well, no, I don't think so. And you go, no worries at all.
Yeah,
Like, it's not saying you're wrong. It's just questioning, have you thought of this perspective? So it is quite soft. And yeah, I love I wonder. So
beautiful. Love it. I love it. We're all going to steal that one.
Yep.
And Barb, I feel like I could actually say that, like in my last job, if I were to have a conversation with you know who, I feel like I could use that format to actually bring ideas across if, you know, that person might not be so open or if they're really emotionally charged, that kind of thing.
Yes.
It's not so confrontational, when I was working there, obviously her being the director and then underneath me, I feel like if I came to her and said, I think we should do this, at times, I wouldn't obviously say it like that, but at times I could imagine she would feel, or she could feel, as if, like this is my business, basically, So I think, and she has made those comments before. So I think I wonder, as Sally was saying, it just feels like, yeah, you're just exploring. It's not like, I think we should do this and all of your stuff is wrong, or it's not dismissive. Like it is really open. So I think that would work.
There's also for you, Maya, is that like what we're talking about before about questions being the power, being the answer. And for you to develop your communication skills, it's about asking a question when you're not sure, or exploring a possibility if you don't have confidence in the opinion you might want to express. So I wonder is a great platform for you to be able to put forward an opinion without threat for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after I do the I wonder, do you then circle it back with a question, or do you just leave it as that?
Ask Sally. What would Sally do?
look, with the work I do, a lot of it is I will just keep going until I've come up with the answer they want. So I keep saying, well, I wonder about this. And they go, oh, yeah, I thought about that. And then I'll go, oh, right. So you can actually go in all different directions. And, it depends on what the I wonder question is. So basically I just keep asking I wonder until they've had enough. And I give it an option to the people to stop when they're ready. I say, I'll keep asking you questions and you feel free to stop when you've got the answer you want, or when I've got to where you're happy with. So, yeah, it's actually quite interesting, and some will keep going, and some will just go, no, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. But yeah, but I mean, the wonder is you're actually, yeah, it can be really quite powerful getting more answers.
Yeah. And I like that you keep doing the I wonder this, I wonder that, because I think maybe those people wouldn't have wondered those things. You know, you're kind of like bringing that out. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
you could keep putting things in of different things we wonder. But do you then circle it back as in like, how do you feel about that? Or does anything jump out to you? Or like, how would you, or do you just go, like, for example, in Amber's situation, with the I wonder, if she was to say, you know, I wonder about the transferable skills or your confidence or the confidence of your kids and how they're going to feel.
yeah.
Do you then like, I didn't say that very well, but do you then like circle that back around with the question of,
I often go back to, I'm like, have you actually had any light bulb moments from that? Like
yeah,
often I
that's a
come
good
back
one.
with that, like, you know, are there any light bulb moments from that? Or I do say, you know, have you, you know, what have you discovered from that? Have you discovered anything about yourself? And they go, oh, yeah, I've learnt that. And then by them saying that, they're actually verbalizing what they've learnt. So it's not just, they're actually
I
saying
love
that
that.
itself. So it solidifies what they've said. That makes
Yeah.
sense?
And it's all about them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they'll go, oh, actually, I found out that I love nature, or I actually am a really good people person. And they go,
Yeah.
and then they can, and then it sits with them and they're like, yep, that feels so right. Or no, that doesn't sit right. Yeah.
I love that. I love, have you had any light bulb moments?
Yeah.
And the other one you can say is what this is what I do from a coaching point of view is what do you take away from the conversation we've had? Or what are the things that, or in your situation, Maya, what do we take away from this?
Yeah.
And it could be what actions are we taking away from this?
Yeah.
I will sometimes ask that in challenging conversations.
And that's more of an open question rather than are there any light bulb moments is a yes or no, where what have you taken away from it, like you said, but is much more open, isn't it? So it actually allows more conversation and puts back in them a bit more. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like when you do that at the end of our sessions, because then I also get to rejig my memory and go through what we talked about, you know, because, you know, I take notes and, it just helps me to
solidify it, doesn't it?
Yeah, solidify
it. Let's collate.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one. Good work, everyone. Here's some other ones that can be really popular for challenging difficult situations, particularly with objections. Amber, I think I may have mentioned this one to you before, is the feel, felt, found is really popular in sales because it's an alliteration and you can easily remember it. It doesn't always, like when I talk to people, sometimes you have to be cautious. If people are really upset and you say to them, yeah, I know how you feel, they're like, do you really know how I feel, what it feels like to be me? You have to be careful in using it. But the premise of it is about empathy, is to demonstrate empathy. So to be able to feed back people's feelings and what they're feeling. So if they say to you they're really frustrated, I know what this feels like. I can see you're saying this is frustrating. Sorry, I'm saying you need to be careful of. Saying I know when you don't can be condescending. But it could be, I understand this feels really frustrating for you, or I can see this is frustrating for you. Amber, you could, in your situation, use this for parents to go, I know this feels overwhelming. Other parents have felt the same way approaching this situation. What they've found is that after about 2 weeks, their kids find a bit of momentum and stability, and it starts to roll on from there. Something like that. It's a formula that enables people to go, you understand what I'm going through. But you just have to be careful with it. when you use it. But I found it really powerful when people had objections, like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to do that.
So the feel would be, I understand that this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
The felt would be, I missed that one.
Other parents have felt the same way. Or I felt the same way when I first approached tutoring. In your situation, Amber, I would be saying, yeah, I look, other parents, you're not alone. It's common for parents to feel this way. Sally, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, so like previous role, I worked in alcohol and other drug. So often I would actually come up with, no matter my experience, I'm never going to completely understand how you feel, but I can but I have felt this or whatever. So it's like,
Yes.
it's putting it back on. I will try to understand. I am never going to truly understand exactly how you feel, but I'm going to try and understand you the best I can, which is actually quite powerful. And it took the pressure off, like, oh, you are accepting that maybe I'm a little bit different, but you understand that the situation is different as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that might not work for this, though.
So what was the one you mentioned, no matter what?
Well, it's like, so no matter what you've been through, I will not completely understand you, but I'll try to understand you the best. So it's like I have felt this way, but no matter what you've been through, I can try to understand you the best, aware that your situation is different. I worded that differently before, but it's no matter how you feel, I'm not going to be able to completely understand the situation you're in, but I can try to understand you the best I can from my experience, which is very quite wordy for this, which probably doesn't fit, but I know what I.
We can put that into Chat GPT
Yeah.
to come up with a succinct way to say, I can't live your experience, but I can try and understand it. I can't know what it feels like to be you, but I can try and I can try. That is where a but is probably okay. But I'm going to try and understand it. And Amber, I would suggest that the felt is you're not alone. It's common for parents to feel this way. Other parents have felt this way before. Other parents have felt overwhelmed with the amount of information that they have to complete, or whatever it is. Other kids have felt like this as well when they first started tutoring. It's not uncommon. It's okay. I'm sure you do that anyway, Amber. You naturally do that because you are an empathetic person.
Yeah. When when I have my initial meet with them, the free trial session, I do actually explain to the parents that it's not uncommon for for kids to refuse to come in or dragged in the front door, but then they don't want to leave because they get because I tell the student that they're in charge of their own learning. They can speak up and say, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. And they're in charge. And then I make a note of saying, asking them then, while they're doing a little writing activity for me, I ask them, do you mind if I have a quick chat with your mum while you're doing that? And most of the time they said, no worries. And I then turn around and say, do you know why I asked you that question? And they're like, oh. And I said, because you're in charge. So I'm giving them an example of the fact that they're in charge of their learning and what happens and what's being said in the tutelage.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that I try and make sure that I get in so that they do feel confident, as well as using all of our other things, our sensory needs and all the rest.
Yeah. So you're naturally using some of that theory, this feel, felt, found anyway, Emma. It's however, this formula could be something that you could demonstrate to your staff in terms of how they need to speak to parents if they're raising objections. It sounds like you would always have those conversations, but as you grow your team and business, that might be a structure with some examples that you bring into the procedure of your business.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. The what could make it right, that's just bringing that up again is in terms of the objections or complaints. It's a really powerful one to be able to use when you get to that sticky point, which we've talked about already. If somebody is trying to, this will be a tricky one for you, Amber, but if somebody's trying to push you into buying something, this is typically, Sally, you would have this in your business where people are going, oh, I have to talk to my husband, or I have to talk to my wife before I can make a decision, right? That is, I'm not the only decision maker here. I have to converse with somebody. But if you're in a negotiation, that's a classic way of getting out of something. So you can use it as well to your advantage. And it just gives you something in place. What were you going to say, Amber?
Mm. I've had a couple of parents, and not very many, but who've mentioned when it comes to signing the contract, I'm not the decision maker.
Mm.
And I don't hear it very often, but of those people, probably only 50% return.
Yeah, exactly. And but you see, that's their tactic of getting out to a commitment. My point
Yeah.
is, you can also use it in negotiations as well. I mean, Amber, you could just say, "Look, I need to talk to my accountant before I make that decision." That you can use it.
Yeah, I do actually
Yeah,
use my CFO as a
yeah. There you go.
when I'm talking to my staff about things, in regards to the financial side of things.
Yeah.
I come out with my CFO has recommended that we do it this way, because that's the most cost effective way.
Yeah, and so that can be, it's not me, it's the CFO. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
almost this next one is very similar to that. You can say, Amber, you use this all the time in your business. It's our policy here. So it's not me being a bitch. It's actually the policy of the business. It's our policy to do that. It's just this is what we do. Um, So, for example, and Amber, you've talked about this too in terms of how your parents pay. Examples I've used before is if you want to secure this offer, you'll need to pay 10% today, or I can't hold the product for you. It's the company policy. Amber, I know that you've got things in terms of people paying up front or holiday
Yeah,
things or,
they get $10 off per session if they pay up front.
yeah, yeah. So we can't give you a discount unless you pay up front. It's a company policy, just whatever it is. You can use that to say, oh, look, it's not me being difficult here. It's the rules of engagement. You can even use that in personal situations. Oh, we just have a rule in our family that we only go out to dinner once a month, whatever it is. Love to help you out here, but I've just got an agreement with my husband that that's what we do. God, I'd love to, but you can do that company, the family policy.
Family policy, love it.
So it shifts the power away from you having to make the decision there and then with the person that you're negotiating with. This is the two yes. Sally, this is what you'll need to do in your business. So would you like to pay installments or would you like to pay upfront? You're not like, would you like to buy? Yes or no. You've heard this one. How would you like to pay for that? Cash or card? They're not saying, do you want to buy the shirt? How would you like to pay for that today? It's never, what do you think? It's never, do you want to buy the thing? So, for example, this is where you do it in family as well. I learned if I said to my husband, do you want to pick the kids up from school today? He would say, no, thanks, you can do it. Right? Instead of saying to him, what time are you picking the kids up from school today? So I'm assuming he's already bought in to the thing.
I actually use that when I speak to my staff. I use please instead of can.
Yeah, please, can you?
Please do this.
Yeah. So,
Instead of saying, can you do this for me?
yeah, right. Okay. Because then they can say, yeah, no, I can't do that.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's assuming that you've already got the sale, if you think of it in that context. The ask is already assuming that they're committed to do the thing or buy the thing. Yeah. And Sally, thinking about this, and Amber, for you in business, it's better to put certain terms in your proposals or contracts and ask them to opt out or choose to opt out rather than asking them to contribute. So here's the thing, here's all the things, but if you want to drop these things out, you can. Most people don't want to miss out on something. Okay.
Mm.
Amber, I know you and I've talked about this one too, going to Bali. You've been to Bali a few times recently.
Yeah.
This is how Bali does business. They give you the biggest offer, and then you haggle. Maya and I talked about this with her. We did a lot of conversation about this yesterday in terms of the asking for the rate with this new job. She's going to pitch the most possible highest one for them to go, oh, we're actually thinking it was a little bit less than that. And she already knows what her lowest is. So she's not going to go any lower than that, but she's going to ask for the absolute highest. Whereas Maya, because she's beautiful, will say something like, oh, I can do it for $30 because she's very accommodating and forgiving, but she's not going to do that anymore. She's going to ask something and go, I just vomited a little bit in my mouth and then come back down from that.
I vomited in my mouth when you said what the rate yesterday. And then at the end, I was like, you know what? No. You know, when you work it out as well, when we worked out with the loading, when we worked out with everything else,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then holding firm on the offer, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just putting it on the table and ask and wait, not overselling or over apologizing. Just, yep, this is my offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what they do in Bali. How much is that handbag? $200.
Yeah.
I'll give you 10 for it then.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I start ridiculously low.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing, same principle. Same
Yeah.
principle, and then work your way up from there. They go ridiculously high, you go ridiculously low, and then you meet somewhere in the middle. And that's the expectation. My husband goes, because he's not used to it, he goes, oh, okay then. Gives them the money. Because he's so kind and generous and thoughtful.
I do have with the tutoring some people who do like to haggle because they've got bringing more than one child to the
Yeah.
tutelage.
Well, good on
And
them
I
for
say,
asking.
unfortunately, the only discount that we offer is if you pay up front, you get $10 off every session.
Yeah.
That's if you pay up front. I'm unable to provide deductions for students which have multiple kids, families that have multiple kids, because I still have to pay the same rate for each of their tutors.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Yeah.
And I think $10 off a session is good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right, the next one is good, better, best. Really, really common. It's called, you can't see it there, it says the you choose trick. So you're basically putting some options in front of people. And this is always really effective because it's value stacking, value positioning your offer. Once again, this is what Amway used to do really, really well in terms of the membership buy-in. So this one is what most people will opt for because it's the reasonable kind of value. This one is cheap, but it's expensive in comparison to these. So, Amber, let's say in your situation, I'm not saying this is true, I could, if I wanted to, just buy a one-off coaching session, a tutoring session with you, but it'll cost me $200. Whereas if I got a term package with weekly installments, then it would be less than that, be 150, whatever. But if I
Yeah.
paid up front, it would work out to be $100. So that's painful for me up here, but it's definitely the best value. This one down here is convenient, but it's not necessarily great value. This one is the one that's in between that most people will opt for. So for me, that's exactly what I have in my coaching. If you just want a one-off session, you can most definitely do that, but it will cost you $250 to do that. And some people opt to do that. They go, I don't want to commit to a lot of stuff. And it's like, and if I'm available, I can't guarantee I'm available to you. If you get a coaching package with me, I will be committed to you and we'll have regular sessions booked into the calendar. You can pay off monthly if you want to. For most people, that's convenient. But if you want to pay up front and save some money, you can do that too. That's exactly what I offer people in my coaching packaging. So you put some options out there for people. Amber, I'm sure you do this with kids. I know with my son with behavioral stuff when it was all about choice.
Yep.
So he would throw we had to explain to his teachers, you've got to give him options, whatever works for you, but give him option. If you give him command, he just arcs up. So it would be in preschool, it would be coming out. So he's been playing in the sandpit and all the kids have to come inside and he would throw a tantrum. And so the carers would say, you can sit in the corner and play with the blocks on your own, or you can sit down with all the other kids on the mat for story time. They're your choices, but we're not playing outside in the sand anymore. Everyone's coming out inside. Which one would you like to do, blocks or story time? But if they just said, no sandpit now, get inside and sit on the mat, he would have arced up. So he went for, it's this one kind of in the middle. Yeah, okay. Buy two, get one free, although Amber doesn't do that one.
No. Sorry, I'm just in ChatGPT at the moment trying to put that statement in there.
Which one? The understand one?
No matter what you've been through, I understand your feelings and I help and hope to help. Do you understand?
I want to, well, sorry, what Sally said was, I can never fully, I can't live, would you say it, Sally?
No matter what you've been through, I can never truly understand you, but I'll try to understand you the best I can. But with my experience, I'll try to understand you the best I can, maybe. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's like poetry, Sally.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I don't think ChatGPT is going to make it any better. That was pretty good.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Did you get that, Amber?
But I will do.
You have to go through the recording. Go back to the recording.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll write it in the chat.
Oh, excellent.
Good idea. Okay, so what I want you to think about now is this is where we talk about, this is where the DISC stuff is really powerful, is knowing what your behavioral drivers are. Your behavior versus their behavior. What you can do with your own behavior to change the situation. In the workbook, I've got a couple of examples there. So we've got, if we think about somebody that's presenting, what's a positive behavior response you can have, and what would you and why this is beneficial to apply. I'm just going to share can you see that on the screen? Can you see that workbook on the screen? Yeah, Maya's nodding her head.
Yeah.
So using examples or hypotheticals, that's probably really useful in what you do, Amber, isn't it? Giving
Yes.
hypotheticals or examples from previous students. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
If we think about personal situations and personal negotiations, what's the benefits of admitting a mistake, Maya?
I think it shows that you're just a real person that makes mistakes like everybody else, and it just brings you back down on the same level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also puts you into an above the line positioning and attitude. You're taking ownership and you're taking a responsibility for something. You're not passing blame onto somebody else. You're owning it. Yeah. Sally, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, if you admit mistakes, I'm wondering if that gives people permission and means they're more likely to admit their mistakes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it shows that you've got nothing to hide. It shows that strength in vulnerability. Yeah, there's a lot of power in that.
I encourage my staff. I encourage my staff to make mistakes in front of the kids. And then we use the whoopsie daisies or silly me for them to realise that it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Yes. The
And
mistakes are
learning, I
okay.
mean, making mistakes is all about learning.
Yes, that's right. All learning happens through mistakes. That's what I communicate to people in terms of falling on your bum, learning how to roller skate and riding a horse and riding a bike.
Yeah, just get back on.
I think you shared an acronym with us once, Barb. It was it FAIL is first attempt in learning?
Did
I think you did.
I've heard that one in teachers' realms.
Yeah, that's really powerful because then they're not going to shy away, you know, they're going to stay open and they can talk to you as well if they're having trouble too.
And if you listen to entrepreneurs, they often talk to you about the mistakes that they made and how that generated the learning or the opportunity for them to develop something new. So it's an important part of growth process. Yeah.
But that's also what gives them their confidence back.
Your students, definitely. To know that their mistakes are important. My mentor, Dr. John Hinwood, used to say, a job worth doing is worth doing lousy. As in, it's sometimes there's benefits in doing something, oh, that was shit. Gee, I did a shit job of that, because you learn from it. Yeah. There's lots of potential positive behaviors, and what I'm in the interest of time, so that I can leave you to the rest of your afternoon, I would suggest to you to actually journal on these and think about how could these benefit you. You could typically look at some of these as being a disadvantage, but withdrawing or being silent, there could be some benefits. Sometimes I've had some people say, oh, I don't want to be the punching bag, to have someone venting with me, but sometimes you getting everything out in the open and you can actually take notes of everything they're saying. Sally, I bet in the drug and alcohol space, you would have done that a lot. We're just allowing people to offload. They're getting it off their chest and you're hearing some key points of things that you can work on.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, you can pull out so many pieces of gold from what people say.
Yeah.
And change perspective as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So there can be great benefits in that. We also know the rephrasing is there's two components to that. If you're managing conflict, it's a bit different, but you can use it in negotiation as well. And Amber, I'm sure you do this with students, is paraphrasing is saying back the words or the information to people that they've just said so that they
Yeah.
know that you've heard them. But rephrasing is kind of repositioning it. It's going, yes, it's challenging using your pen instead of a crown. And when we do, we look more grown up. I was trying not to say but. So,
I've just posted in the chat what Chat GPT came up with.
what is it? What have we got?
Your journey is uniquely yours, and while I may not know it all, I will stand beside you and use my expertise to help you move forward with strength and purpose.
Oh,
Powerful.
Yeah, I put in what you shared,
what Sally
and
shared, yeah.
then I asked it to be more empowering.
Yeah. I like it. I really like it.
I like your journey is uniquely yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I really like that.
By the way, Sally, I just made a little post-it. It says I wonder, and I've got it on my whiteboard.
Fantastic. Love it.
So now we've got what do you do when these are triggers? These ones here that you can see on the screen. They're the things that trigger you. I don't know, for you ladies that are on your phone, you might not be able to see it. So what happens if someone says to you, take it or leave it? That's the offer. Take it or leave it.
I'd say leave it.
Yeah, same. I'll say leave it, 100% leave it.
Bye now.
Yeah.
It's like when I get one of those silly people that ring and they're on telemarketing. They give me their little spiel and I say, oh, it's been lovely to chat with you. I need to go now. Bye. You have a lovely day.
Yeah.
My friends are basically can't believe that I am so polite to them. It's not their fault though.
What do you do if someone gives you an ultimatum? Like it's almost a threat. If you don't do this, then I'm going to do that. Amber, you must have parents that do that with you.
Well,
Difficult
that's what
parents.
this parent that's given us an ultimatum that they need to reach Bs for all subjects by the end of next term. That's an ultimatum, and that's what I was coming back with the I feel
I
felt.
I wonder. Or
Yeah.
feel, felt, found. Yeah. I reckon I personally think
Or am I doing the I wonder one? Am I doing that one?
I wonder is for a fixed mindset. That's when they're really fixed, Amber. That one works. That's where that one works. Whereas
Yeah.
the feel, felt, found is the objection. Yeah, I'd like to do that, but I don't think it's going to work for my kid. Yeah, I'd like to do it, but it's too expensive and I think we could manage on our own. That's when you'd use the feel, felt, found. That I wonder is, nope, this is the way we're going to do it. Yep, that's what I'm going to do with my kids. That's it. Either you do this or it's
So him giving the kids an ultimatum is basically giving us an ultimatum.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yes.
So that's the conflict one then, isn't it?
Well, I think it's a really fixed mindset.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd be going, like you said, I like that you're setting strong expectations for your kids, and I like that you're looking at ways to motivate them. I wonder if this is going to stress them, or I wonder if we're trying to move away from the negative, aren't we, Maya? I wonder if we can use some alternative motivators. There's a language too, Amber, that you use in teaching that's behavioral stuff where there's either, I can't remember the right terms, but it's either the takeaway or the move towards.
Move towards.
Yeah, but there's normally two approaches, isn't there? So if you do this, you're not going to get, if you don't do this, you're not going to get this, or if you do this, you will get this. So if you don't
Yeah,
clean your room, if you don't put away the toys, we're not going to be able to move on to the next activity. Or if you put away your toys quickly, we might still have time to do another activity. There's two,
yeah.
and apparently kids will respond to one or the other. I don't know if the theory's shifted on that.
No, the working towards is something that we use, and
Yeah.
basically it's you put what I do with the clients is I have like a little storyboard for the ones who need it,
Oh
and
yeah.
they get choose like it explains the process like a story, a social story
Yeah.
for autistic children
Okay.
and adults, but the social story would be, oh no, it's gone out of my head.
Sorry, I keep turning that off.
The working towards. So on there, it
Yeah.
would be when you finish this, you will get this. And it might
Yeah.
be 60 seconds playing with a rubber ball. It might be 60 seconds doing star jumps. Whatever it is that they've expressed are the things that they really like doing.
Mhm. Yeah, okay.
And
So it's a
that's how
motivator.
it's used in, yeah, that's how it's used in schools.
So, Amber, in that parents' ultimatum situation, if you think about combining those two things together, you could be saying something like, I wonder if affirming motivators, a moving towards goal, might have a stronger response than the takeaway. Something, do you get what I'm saying? Something along those lines. Because you know that based on experience.
Mm. I wonder if we could use alternative.
And then you could use the feel felt fan. Look, I know how you feel. You want to get the best out of you want to get your money's worth. Other parents have felt the same though. What we've found is if you have positive motivators, you get a stronger response. You could use the I wonder and feel felt found together.
Whack them all in line.
So, just in finishing up, what I would love for you to do, it's good if you can do it in the chat for me because I then have a documented record. I want you to, based on the things that we've covered today, I want you to think about so many, what you're going to start, what you're going to stop, what you're going to change, what you're going to continue. So I'm guessing Sally's going to continue using I Wonder. Maya's going to start using I Wonder. I'm going to start using I Wonder. If you can write in the chat some things that, and if you want to verbalize them, I can write them in the chat for you.
That would be great.
All right, Amber, what's something you're going to start doing?
The I wonder.
Yes. To start using I Wonder. Yeah.
And I think instead of waiting to speak to this parent, I'll email him so that I can get my um, words out there without being interrupted. Oh, sorry. And initially, he sent me a big email stating what he was expecting. So it'll be like an email using the I wonder, sort of outlining the expectations.
My only suggestion to you, Amber, I can see why you're saying that. My here we go. I like that you're using responding to their email, and I like that you are exploring different options. I wonder if they may misinterpret your tone or intention because it's a sensitive subject by in an email. I am curiously questioning and wondering, because I just know that people can misinterpret things through emails when it's a little bit not negative, but challenging
Oh
or
no, because
confronting.
I always start emails by not really paraphrasing, but going back into what they have their requests,
Okay.
and I thank them for their feedback because it's very powerful.
Okay. So you're going to
And
change the way you we put that as a change. You're going to change your response approach. Is that your commitment out of these 4, Amber?
yep.
Change. Amber's going to change response approach. You're going to continue, I bet, your feel, felt, found methodology because you do that already.
Yep.
I'm going to put that down for you. Amber's going to continue. Is there anything you're going to stop?
I'm thinking I'm going to stop working with as many clients as I have been because I'm running out of time. My time management's up the shit.
I'm going to say you're going to stop being so available.
Yep. That sounds good. I like that.
All right, Sally, Maya, what have you got? Maya, you're going to start, I wonder. You've already
I'm going to
committed to.
start, I wonder.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop saying, hold on, I've got a few of them now. Just, sorry, but,
Yeah.
try was another one from yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop on those.
Yeah. Change.
Lots of things I want to change.
Pick one, just one.
Well, I think that in like you've given so many different examples for when some of the negotiation tricks would be useful. So I think I will, or is it a start? Well, I'll start using those and I'll stop using. I get the current, like the standard.
Why don't I change your negotiation style? So you're not
Yes.
stopping it. How's that?
Yeah.
And and what are you going to continue doing? What are you going to celebrate that you're doing well and you're going to continue, Maya?
I'm going to celebrate my curiosity.
Yeah,
Thank you,
curious
Bob.
and asking questions. Yeah, because you're good at that. Sally has got, well done, Sally. Start more, yes, yes. Stop being so pig-headed sometimes with my way. Change advertising with feel, felt, found. Continue, I wonder. I feel like you said those similar thing last time we did this training too, Sally. That feels really familiar. I feel deja vu-ish.
Well, I was actually thinking the same. But I don't know if I put pig-headed in there. And yeah, I'm not sure if it's appropriate or not, but I feel like I'm quite lacking confidence in not lacking confidence in business, but I don't know, stop being so negative about the way that my business is going. I don't know, but it's very hard when you're not getting much. So maybe it's not appropriate there. Maybe these things will make it all happen.
So I think with your business, Sally, it's all test and measure. You try something, doesn't work, change it, do it different. When something does work, how do you improve upon it? How do you multiply it? Yeah, just keep trying something. Just keep trying something different. Because you've got the positive feedback from the stuff that you've done already. And I think that's really powerful. Yeah.
It is, but then they haven't continued either. So that's like, which is okay. But yeah, but then there's also people say if you keep changing it, then that's hard too because it looks like you're desperate. You know what I mean? Like you're trying everything. So it's this whole balance. But I will work it out. It will
I
all
don't
happen.
know. Changing in business, you're always doing something new. Yeah. So, I mean, restaurants change their menu. You're just trying
That's
something
true.
new. I mean, we all have to change things. So
Yeah,
I don't
we'll
know.
go with that.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's desperate. You're just doing something different.
Well, that's what I thought. We'll
Yeah.
just mix it up a bit. Thank you. We'll just try different things.
Yeah. Good work. All right. Well, I'm going to put these in the portal so that you've got some committed actions that you're going to try. Let me know, or giving you a bit of homework of things to try as well along the way. Let me know how you go. And I'll see you not next weekend, the weekend after, because next weekend's Easter. Have a lovely Easter break, everyone.
You too,
Okay.
Thanks,
lady.
Bob.
I'll
You
let
Have a
you
too.
good
know.
Easter.
I'll let you
Do we
know
have,
on Wednesday what the outcome is of the award.
well, I'd love to know. That would be so exciting.
I'll put it
Definitely,
on Facebook, but I'll try and message you all as well.
that would be
Awesome.
You got this in
fantastic.
the bag, Bob.
Yeah.
All the best.
Thank you. Amber, yeah, and we'll talk, hopefully catch up with you on Thursday.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right.
Have a great
Bye,
time.
ladies.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.